Hey guys, welcome back to Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl, where we interview top-level MMA fighters and other experts in their field about love, dating, romance, and that all-too-taboo subject, sex. I'm your host, Ashley Rebel Girl Evans Smith. Now let's talk about sex and violence. Welcome back, my naughty listeners. We are here again, just asking guests more personal questions than you could ever imagine an interviewer or a podcast would ask. Sometimes we have athletes, sometimes we have musicians, actors, adult film entertainers. This week we have a tiny terror named Mogwai. But before we talk about that, let's tell you that it is Pride Month, and I want to read you a quick little excerpt about Pride Month. What is Pride Month? It is when the world's LGBT communities come together and celebrate the freedom to be themselves, is what we all should be, right? Pride gatherings are rooted in the arduous history of minority groups who have struggled for decades to overcome prejudice and be accepted for who they really are. Gay Pride, or LGBT Pride, is the promotion of self-affirmation, dignity, and equality, and increased visibility of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, as well as queer and social groups. Now, that is a mouthful, but basically we are celebrating this month all different genders and sexual preferences. So this guest is amazing, but like I said, before we talk to her, what's going on in my life? You know, I always tell you guys about the PT situation. That's still a thing. I'm still a few months from getting back on the grappling mat, but I have a very cool opportunity. I'm not allowed to say what company, but I'm going to be auditioning to be a virtual trainer. And I know that sounds silly, but it's something that I think might be a good segue post-fight career, right? You know, when we talk about on this episode and a lot of other episodes, what us fighters are going to do when we're done fighting. And I think sometimes we forget to think about that until it's too late. And this podcast is kind of me thinking about life post-fight career, and this opportunity with this company that I can't say would be an opportunity to continue my, being in the fitness, I guess, lifestyle, as well as still get to box a little bit and maybe even do some MMA. So I'm facing my own struggles right now. I'm still got that injury. I'm going to do this audition in 2 weeks, not in the best shape, but it's such a good job, and I'm going to give it my all, right? What is that phrase? We miss 100 shots. Wait, how's it go? How's it go, Zoe? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Thank you, DJ Zol. Yeah, so I'm going to do that. My birthday is next month, July 9th, for all of those, who care out there. I don't really care too much about my birthday as well as so much that I care that it's my sober birthday. It'll be 2 years of sobriety for me. For you, maybe not, not that big of a deal. For me, holy fuck. It is a big deal for me. It's quite the accomplishment, and I'm very proud of it. So trying to figure out what I want to do. It will actually be my first birthday that I'm celebrating sober with friends. The pandemic took a lot of holidays and birthdays away from us last year and the year before, basically. So now I'm like, oh, okay, do I want to go to a bar and celebrate my birthday/sober birthday with my friends, or do I want to create something different, maybe get everybody together and paintball? I don't know. So I'm thinking about that. But yeah, you know what would make a good birthday gift? A Botanical Bloom. All A Botanical Bloom products are made with real CBD, not hemp seed oil, and all of their products are lab tested, and they provide a QR code on the box to track the results. They have tinctures, they have hand sanitizer, which is crazy, lip balms, vapor rubs, and gummies with double the average amount of dosage of CBD. You guys can follow them at A Botanical Bloom on Facebook and Instagram, or check them out on their website, www.abotanicalbloom.com. Don't forget to use code ASHLEYMMA and get 20% on all products. This is your weekly reminder to email me if you really like the show and you got something to tell me, maybe a guest suggestion, or maybe you want to be a sponsor for the podcast. We are always looking to get better. So if you just want to, tell us what you think of the show, that's okay too. And the email is ashley@sexandviolencepodcast.com. That's my name, ASHLEE, at sexandviolencepodcast.com. So this weekend, the UFC is back. They took a short break, one weekend off, and they have a big boy night, heavyweight headliners. We've got, sorry for the mess up of the names, but Rosenstruck versus Augustus Sakai. I'm probably going to kill a lot of these names. But Walt Harris, who I'm always rooting for, versus Marcin Tybura. Roman Dolidze versus Laureano Strapoli. Miguel Beza versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Gregory Rodriguez, who is a teammate over at Black House MMA, versus Dusko Tordovic. And then the prelims is pretty awesome, too. We got Montana De La Rosa versus Ariane Lipsky. Tanner Boser versus Ilir Latif. We got Mason Jones versus Alan Patrick. And then another Black House teammate of mine, Tabitha Ricci, is filling in last minute for Mariah Moroz, and she's facing Manon Farrat. And then the last on the card is Jordan Levitt versus Claudio Poyes. I always mess up his name, even though he was a former teammate of mine at Timoyama. He's a young Peruvian kid who he was really on a win streak there for a minute. Then he got injured over at Timoyama, and so I'm very happy to see him back, and I'll always be rooting for him. All right, let's talk here. A word from our sponsor before we talk to our guest. It's summer, camping season. Let's talk about pitching tents. That's right. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets at a fraction of the cost. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part? It's all done online. So no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. Guys, there's nothing sexier than confidence, and Blue Chew can help give you the confidence where it counts. So, if you can benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, Blue Chew can help. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code ASHLEE, ASHLEE, at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code ASHLEE, ASHLEE, to receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. Ladies, Blue Chew is exclusively for men, but the end result is something you'll both enjoy. So get your man to sign up. Today's guest is a mini mixed martial artist. She has 13 years of mixed martial arts training with over 300 jiu-jitsu and wrestling matches and a total of 16 MMA fights. This strawweight resides in Sin City, Las Vegas, and holds a 8-4 pro record. In 2019, she was ready to hang up her gloves after being cut from the promotion Combate Americas while on a 6-fight win streak under their banner. But she recently decided to step back in the cage and is now fighting for Bellator MMA in an upcoming bout June 25th. After this year of using Onlyfans as her main source of income and completely changing her life, she's no longer fighting with the intention of being in the best in the world, but to prove that women can be both sexy and powerful, accomplishing anything they put their minds to. We talk about polytribe, Z-guard sex position, pansexuality at its finest, boss bitch championships, 6 partners in one night, and so much more. Here's your guest, don't feed her after midnight, Kyra Mogwai Batara. Okay, we have Kyra Batara with us on the show, Mogwai. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. I've been looking forward to being on your show.
Yeah, actually, shout out to Adam Hunter for giving me the recommendation. He did it, I don't know what number show he was on. What was he on, Zol? Maybe like the 20s?
Yeah, it's been
Yeah, it's been a minute. He
That's
was,
way back.
yeah, he was on like maybe like episode 20, 21, something like that. And I knew you were going to be a good episode. So I feel like I've been like waiting to get better at interviewing people and just refining the art of podcasting. So we've been we're a year in now, and now I feel ready to talk about all the things that you do with yourself, which is super interesting. But first, let's just jump right into MMA. I know that I know all about you, but let's talk about what you have going on with Bellator on June 25th.
Yeah, so I thought I was retired. I thought that I was done with MMA. I was on this 6 fight win streak on top of the world with Combate. I had just got an armbar finish with a girl that had stepped in last minute, 2 weeks notice. She was actually supposed to fight somebody else on the card, and I was supposed to fight Angela Magana.
Oh.
And so switch of opponents, but still got the armbar. They're super happy about it, wanted me to fight 2 months later. That next Monday, they gave me a call and told me that I got cut. So it was a very confusing time. I needed that to kind of see what I wanted, take a step away from MMA. COVID hit, so it really allowed myself time to heal my body, enjoy the holidays for once in my life. I'm a wrestler, so I'm used to like not eating on Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays. This is the first year that I got to eat whatever I wanted, and it was great. But I'm ready to jump back in the cage.
Oh man, you're preaching to the choir, sister, when it comes to wrestling and cutting weight and all that. So I know what that's like. So
Oh yeah.
they cut you on a 6 fight win streak right before the pandemic hit, and then basically this whole pandemic has been kind of like this journey of trying to figure out, do you still want to fight? Do you want to pivot and take another route for your life? But you've decided to jump back in.
Yeah, so it's actually the year before COVID hit,
Oh,
and
okay.
which was great because then I was dating a wrestler at the time, and so I actually got into like the WWE style wrestling, indie wrestling for people that
Oh,
know. But
cool.
it was amazing. It was like this is a great transition for me. I was able to get on Kevin Cross's promotion called Natural Born Killers, went against Gina Manzani, and
What?
it was just amazing. I was like, this is great. Maybe this is my new route. So it is something that I am passionate about, and I'm thinking about still doing while I'm still doing MMA.
Oh, we love some Gina Mazzani on this show. She's amazing. Her and Tim were on the show. I just love her so much. But that's
Oh yeah.
cool. And I know her brother Dave also does pro wrestling and whatnot. I think that might be something that she'll do post MMA career. I've always been intrigued in the fact that it's physical and we're still kind of fighting, but it's, not as physically demanding as MMA and really getting punched in the face.
Yes, yeah, and they actually have this other organization called lingerie fighting, and so it's basically like pro wrestling, but in the MMA sense, and the girls are in lingerie. So I'm
I've
like, oh, that's perfect for me.
I have heard of that, and I think started following their page because I have two Instagram accounts, my personal page and then the Sex and Violence podcast page. And pretty much the Sex and Violence podcast page looks like I'm a sexual degenerate because it's just like MMA,
I love it.
lingerie fighting league, like sexy girls, like, okay, this is my scandalous Instagram. But
Yes.
that's cool that that's an option, right? A lot of us too late in our MMA careers think about, oh no, what's the next step? I mean, hence why I started this podcast. I ain't no spring chicken. And so I need to figure out what I'm going to do after fighting as well. So congrats on at least being ahead of the curve in that sense. You can only fight for so long, right?
Right, and you can only fight so many times a year too.
This is very, very true. I know that you're making money doing other things besides fighting, which we'll get into later, your Onlyfans and whatnot. But uh, June 25th, Bellator, how did this come about? Who are you fighting? What's the game plan? All those kind of basic bitch questions for fighting.
It's funny. I was totally in the mindset that I was retired. I was going to focus on jujitsu. A big goal of mine is to get my black belt. So I
Nice.
recently had started going back to training, but most of my workouts consisted of just weightlifting, doing cardio, Pilates, nothing crazy. Definitely didn't throw on any gloves. And I had ran into one of the old guys that I got certified with at UFC gym years ago. And he had asked me if I was thinking about fighting again. And I told him, no, not right now. If the right opportunity comes, I've been approached by a few organizations. They offered me like really low ball on the salary. So I was like, I'm not trying to take a fight just to take a fight.
Yeah.
And I know my worth. I know where I stood with Combate. This is what I got paid. I'm not going to take a pay cut.
Good for
and
you.
so I told him, I was like, yeah, I got to stand my ground with that for sure. And I told him, I was like, look, I had 3 concussions in 1 year, the year that I got cut. So for me to go back and fight for pennies, it's just not worth it for me right now. And he was like, well, look, if you want to fight, you need to tell yourself, like, you need to speak it into existence. You got to have that mindset of, yeah, I'm going to fight again. And the next day I had made an Instagram post and I was like, look, guys, I'm ready. I'm ready to fight again. It's in my blood. This is what I want. And then the next day, Bellator contacted my mom.
What?
Yeah, it's wild. Like, it's super crazy. You hear things of like this and speaking into existence and manifesting, but I'm like, no, this really happened and I can't believe it. But so I'll always praise to everyone, like, no, if you want something, you have to speak it into existence, whether it's a vision board or putting it in your notes or writing it in your journal. But it's crazy the way the universe works.
Yeah, as I get older, I'm leaning more towards believing in manifesting and visualization and speaking into the universe because we're living it, right? You can say, no, 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 but a lot of times, if you say it and you think about it and you wish for it and hope for it and work for it, right, then it happens. So I don't know if it's, frou-frou or whatever you want to call it, or if it's legit, but yeah, good for you for manifesting that, or at least getting lucky, right? Putting it out there, and then the timing was fucking perfect. So good for you. Plus, I mean, you are, like you said, you are on a 6-fight win streak. You're super cute. You're a little Mogwai, you're marketable. You're just a ball of fucking energy, and you're colorful in many ways. And so, so yeah, they probably were like, look at this chick, Plus, pandemic, is an amazing breeding ground for new talent because you're either ready or you're not. And those people who were right on the cusp of the UFC and Bellator, like yourself, the ones that stayed ready, this is the time where they're making their way in there and they're getting these opportunities. So good for you. And then, all right, who cares? I don't care too much about who you're fighting, but what's the name and what's your game plan going into this fight?
So her name's Lena. I can't pronounce her last name.
Okay, good. We don't care.
Yeah, I'm like, But I remember someone had asked me on Instagram, and they're like, so are you ready to smash Lena? And then her last name. I'm sorry, Lena, if you're listening. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm ready to smash her. But also, can I buy her a drink after?
Oh, is she a cutie or what?
She's super cute. She's so cute. Yeah, I'm like, she's Muay Thai world champ, so I know she's got really good striking, but wrestling's my bread and butter. I know that's where I strive in MMA, so same game plan, take her down, quick finish, that's the goal.
That's awesome. Do you think that your layoff has, is going to come into play on this fight at all? I mean, it's been over a year at least, right?
It's been 2 years. So I fought 2019 April.
Okay.
Yeah. So a little over 2 years. I don't know. You're a wrestler, like it's in our blood. Like we get on the mat and that's where we strive. This is where we belong. And I do believe in ring rust, but I think that I honestly just have so much mat count under my belt that I get in the cage and I'm like, no, this is where I belong.
And a lot of the times people take this for granted, but layoffs aren't always a bad thing. We grind so much for so long. It's an opportunity to reset, recharge, rekindle the fire that once was lit in us when we first started this sport that can easily go out from just day in and day out, getting punched in the face and beating our bodies down and starving ourselves and all the other amazing things that come with this sport. But we're all going to be rooting for you, especially after hearing your story. So, but let's talk about you on a more personal level. This is called Sex and Violence. We talked about the violence aspect. Now let's talk about the sex aspect of it. So, first of all, how do you sexually identify? That's something I like to ask everyone. I don't want to assume that you are straight, bi, gay, whatever. How do you identify?
So I identify as pansexual. It's not something that I say to everybody all the time. I don't really believe in labels, but I do identify as pansexual because I don't care about the gender of someone that I'm interested. I'm really attracted to energies, and being that it's Pride Month and labels are important just to help educate people, but then also help people that maybe they don't know what their sexuality is. So I'm very openly expressing to everyone that I do identify as pansexual.
Cool. You're right. I feel like pansexual, the irony of the phrase pansexual is that most people don't like labels, but that's the label that they choose. If you got to choose a label, that's their label. It's pansexual. I've done my research because I knew I was going to get a slew of different guests, all across the board, men, women, all different genders, all different ethnicities, sexual preferences. But in your own words, how would you describe pansexual? You said it right now. You're attracted to, it doesn't matter the gender and energies, but what's the difference between pansexual and bisexual? Like,
So, pansexual is just like an umbrella term for bisexual, but I think as being bisexual, it's typically you like two different genders, where whether you like men and women, or you like women and trans women, or anything two or more. And bisexuals are usually they're attracted to that person either because of their gender, or they know that, oh, I am attracted to this man, and knowing that he has those body parts. And for me, like, it doesn't matter what body parts you have. I don't care if you're how you identify. I just care about how you connect with me. So the connection and the energies that we have between each
okay,
other.
cool. Would it be okay to say that, 'cause from what I'm understanding, bisexuality is a little bit more based on physical attraction, and pansexual is more about the overall attraction. It doesn't have to be just the gender, but like you said, energies and other things that are attractive.
Correct. Yeah, I think pansexual, you're just more open to anybody. And bisexual, you can be a little pickier.
Got it. Yeah, yeah,
And
and
I mean, there are bisexual people that would say, no, no, I don't care either. But like I
yeah.
said, it's just an umbrella term.
One thing I did read and I thought was cool to mention, because people, I hope that we're educating someone right now. I hope someone's listening to this show and they're like, oh, pansexual, did not know that was a thing. But
Yeah.
I read that, a lot of the misconception with pansexual terminology is that, people hear that and they think, oh, pansexual, that means you're attracted to anybody. No, not necessarily anybody. It's that you're open
Hmm.
to anybody, but not everybody. Right?
Yes, with
Does
no prep. Like, you don't have a preference.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
so you identify as pansexual, and then what's your dating status? Are you seeing someone? Are you single?
So I am very single. I am single as fuck. I had a 2-year relationship that ended very badly in February.
Ooh.
And yeah, so I think that's what's also gonna help me just bring the fire to this fight.
Well, without
But
without giving. Oh, so you're gonna kind of transfer some of that animosity towards your ex into this fight. Is that what you're saying?
not so much animosity, but I would say just like, no, like, I'm a boss ass bitch and I don't need you and I got this and I'm a motherfucking champion.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's not like, I mean, I don't think I've ever went into a fight wanting to win just for someone else, but you and I both know that there's a lot of reasons why you want to win, and proving a motherfucker wrong is
Yes.
real motivating, whether it's an ex or an old coach or some fucking troll on Twitter. Like,
Yes.
it's just like, I want to win for a lot of reasons. But
Uh-huh.
good for you. Okay. And I don't want to give this, ex too much spotlight. We don't know what he did, but why didn't it work out? Was it something that had to do with your lifestyle, training, you getting back into fighting?
So this is where I've also like some kind of identity that I've been dealing with lately is I feel like I'm more gender fluid. And how I was in my last relationship is I was basically the man in the relationship. And I bought the house. I had the car we drove all the time. I paid pretty much all the bills. And it got to be a lot and the communication just wasn't there anymore. And he lashed out on me. So technically, I guess he broke up with me because I had asked him if he could help me pay bills. But who knows? I don't know. There's many reasons. It just a lot of anger issues, a lot of miscommunication. Pull your own weight in a relationship. You have to go 50-50 in a relationship.
Yeah. So it sounds like this dude just wasn't pulling his weight.
No.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but if he was the one who, broke it off, but it sounds like he did you a favor.
Yes. Yes. So truly embracing being a boss ass bitch.
Awesome. Did he have any issues with your, being open sexually at all?
No, not at all. And I do thank him for helping me express myself sexually and really understand and come to acceptance with a lot of things that I had tried. So yeah, that's great that I was in a relationship with like that, and it was very encouraging with OnlyFans and discovering what I wanted in a relationship. So I hate to bash like exes or anything, but yeah, I do
No.
thank him for that.
I mean, with any, relationship, whether it's a friendship or whatever, if it's, for that time being or if it's forever, they always teach you some lessons, right? So I, I,
Right.
I like to have no regrets, no regrets, and just, try to learn and be a better partner. After every situation, right? So
Definitely.
I think you'll know maybe now in the future, moving forward, maybe be more vocal with, your partner needing to pull their weight or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
So with being pansexual, I was reading up a lot, and polyamory kind of goes hand in hand. Would you call yourself polyamorous as well?
I do. So, being that I'm single, I would say I'm solo poly, being that I don't have multiple partners right now. I am very single, but I do believe in poly relationships, and I would say ethical, non-monogamous. So, that being said, like if I'm dating someone, they know that I'm dating other people, or if I'm sleeping with someone else, it's something that is discussed. It's nothing that I'm trying to hide from anybody. I'm not cheating on anybody. It's all agreed upon.
And that's what polyamory is, right? You said it perfectly. Ethical non-monogamy. So multiple
Yes,
partners, but there's no shadiness going on. Everybody's in the know. Everyone knows the situation going in.
correct.
Okay. All right. Was that the situation with the last guy? He knew you were pansexual. Were you also seeing multiple partners, but openly?
So he didn't really want to be poly. We were more just non-monogamous. We were in the lifestyle, which a lot of people know as swinging. So
Okay.
we were swingers.
What is the difference
um,
between poly and non-monogamous?
So poly, well, they kind of go hand in hand. Some people would say they're the same. Some people identify them differently. But non-monogamous would just mean that you aren't exclusive to one partner, and then polyamory goes into more of creating more than one loving relationship.
Oh, so it's not just about sex.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I just feel like polyamory. I'm like, oh, you guys just all want to bone each other. I get it, but I guess that's not it.
Yeah, so that would be like non-monogamous, or they would be in the lifestyle slash swingers.
Okay.
Polyamory, it goes more into you're dating multiple partners.
Oh, wow. Okay, I have so many questions. So, I'm over here like, I got one relationship, we're committed, we're monogamous, but like that itself, one partner, it has its own hiccups, right? Its own battles. And, you have to give that person attention emotionally, mentally, physically, And so,
Yes.
how do you deal with having multiple partners and not, what's the word, leaving someone out on a certain level, whether it is physically when you're in the middle of sex, like, hey, you're loving on someone else, but you got to make sure everyone gets enough love, or even mentally and emotionally, what if you have multiple partners and someone needs to call you, but you're on the phone with your other boyfriend, girlfriend,
Yeah, it's a lot. And that's why I do think that polyamorous people are some of the strongest people I know, just because they can't be jealous. Well, you can't. Of course, you have the right to be jealous, but it's a lot. Like seeing your partner with someone else, you have to be accepting of seeing your partner happy without you and dating someone else and doing what they need to fulfill themselves. And you can create any rule that you want in your relationship. So for me and my ex, for example, he wasn't okay with me dating other people. So I didn't go out on dates with other people, but we would bring people over. He was
Got
okay
it.
with me sleeping with other people, but he didn't want me to have feelings with other men or women
Totally
or
get it.
anybody.
Okay.
But yeah, and so for me, like I don't think that I personally would do that again. It was really hard for me. I have so much love for everybody, and I think that dating is amazing. I think that it's a way of connecting with people. It's a way to learn more about yourself, learn more about other people. But I never say never. I'm definitely open to any opportunity. I could be monogamous one day for all I know. But right now, like I am poly and I'm super open to whatever comes next for me. Honestly, I kind of feel like I'm in this like unicorn stance where I almost want to date a couple. And like that's
Oh,
like my main focus right now is like women and couples is what I've been drawn to mostly lately.
mm-hmm.
But it always changes.
For
It depends on my
sure.
mood.
It seems, I mean, I don't want to presume, but I'm assuming that maybe a majority of your life you weren't pansexual. And so now it's like almost palate cleansing, right? You're like, I've had lots of dudes. Let's try a couple or more girls. When did you realize you were poly?
Uh, well, so I've been interested in women from a young age. So I was probably like 16 when I really was like, oh yeah, I like women too. But it wasn't until I want to say 2 or 3 years ago when I started being open about it and telling people, hey, I am bi, like I am interested in women as well. And I think it was because I was in mixed martial arts that I was kind of like hush hush about it. But that's also a big reason why I was hush hush about relationships. I had never been in a serious relationship, so
Ever?
I kind of was until 3 years ago. three
Okay.
years ago is when I first started like actually getting into a relationship. And all before that, like I dated a guy that lived in Minnesota, and when we were together, it was great, and when we were apart, we saw other people. So I feel like it was like I was poly before I knew I was poly.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the last few years, I mean, I know poly's always been a thing, but yay for Pride Month, but also yay for these last few years. I feel like just, the openness of society or society being okay with people being open sexually has just grown and exploded. Obviously there's a huge transgender movement going on right now, but just embracing whatever sexuality you are. And I started hearing about poly a lot more these last few years. So maybe you
Yeah.
felt like it was an okay time to, let people know that's how you identify.
Definitely, yeah. I think over the past years, there's been more books, more podcasts, music,
Mm-hmm.
a lot more people. TikTok's helped a ton.
Really?
So,
TikTok?
yeah, I feel like TikTok because they're like less than a minute videos, and so a lot of people's attention spans just aren't there. So they're not doing the research of, oh, I'm going to sit down and read this book on polyamory. Oh, I'm going to listen to this podcast about being non-monogamous. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to research about being bisexual. But with TikToks, it's like less than a minute. You watch this video and you can either identify it or realize like, oh, that's not what I am, or oh, this is something that I would be interested in. So I feel like that's also helped a ton
Oh,
with
wow.
people opening their
So
eyes.
TikTok, not just a bunch of dance moves and
Yeah.
young kids on there. Okay, good to know. I feel like I'm showing my age, but it's just like TikTok. I'm like, oh God, it's just one more app I don't want to learn, but I feel like I need to jump on the boat finally. You
Girl, you could do like a whole like house transformation in less than a minute. Like that's how I'm like organization hack. max, less than a minute, that's what I need.
That's cool. You mentioned earlier about 16 years old was when you knew you were attracted to women. Was that when you had your first, girl on girl experience, or was it much later in life?
Yeah, I kissed my first girl at 16, and that's definitely when I was like, all right, yeah, I'm interested in this.
Is that, did you kiss a boy before that? Was a girl you kissed
Oh yeah,
first?
I lost my virginity at a super young age. Like I lost my virginity at 13. And
Oh,
yeah, and then I went into high school and I was one of the only girls on the high school wrestling team. It was me and one other girl. So I was just surrounded by guys,
oh yeah.
locker room talk galore. So
Story of my life.
that definitely put me into like more of a dude mindset of like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm just gonna go sleep with this guy, no big deal.
All right. So you've had this, sexual experience up to this point. Like a lot of sexual discovery is what I'm realizing. But, now you're comfortable with who you are and, you're single, but are you trying to just stay single or are you doing the online dating thing? What are you doing?
So I jumped back on Bumble, which is
Bumble.
for anybody that doesn't know, it's a dating app where the girl has to make the first move, which I appreciate because sometimes like I'll be matching with people and guys can come on kind of strong sometimes.
You don't say.
Yeah. So it definitely like it gives you the opportunity to weed those out, create the connections and decide am I going to message this person or not. And I probably downloaded it maybe a month ago now and I connected with a few people, meaning that we messaged back and forth, but the only person that I've actually hung out with from my matches on Bumble is a guy that I had slept with 2 years ago pretty consistently. So it was kind of like, hey, you look familiar. And let's just jump back right where we were 2 years ago.
Nice. Did you guys go out or is that like maybe something you'll consider later?
I don't think that we would ever date, honestly. We're really cool. Like, I'll go to his place, he comes to my place. Like, it's great. We text maybe once a week, and that's that.
So are you looking
It's a very
for
well understanding.
are you looking for another poly partner, someone who's, wants to live that lifestyle?
I am. I don't know if I want it right now, especially now that I'm in fight camp.
Yeah.
So I have like kind of took like taken a step away from dating apps where I was just swiping and being like, "Ooh, who could I go on a date with?" But now that I'm 4 weeks out from my fight, I'm like, "Okay, I really don't have time to message people or connect with people the way that I want to, being that my main focus is just winning this fight." So I think after my fight, I definitely want to start dating again. I'm looking to make some intimate connections. I have some friends right now that I have really good connections with, emotionally and sexually, but they're not people that I see myself dating later on. Just more so part of my poly tribe, if you would say that.
Okay, poly tribe. I love that terminology. What is
Yes.
it? What is a poly tribe? Is this something that you have coined, or is this something that I need to throw into my vocabulary because it's actually a thing?
So I've heard the term thrown around here and there. I don't know if it's like an actual terminology or if it's like what my friends say. I mean, I've heard different terminologies, whether that people say like, oh, this is like my poly group, or this is my lifestyle group, this is my tribe. But yeah, I have a group of people that some of them are dating, some of them are married, and some of them I'm just hooking up with, or some of them I just kiss when I see. And that would be like all in the community where we all know each other, we're all friends, and that would be like our group.
Okay, so one thing that comes to mind that's not so sexy to talk about, but I think it's important, is safe sex, protected sex. So
Yes.
poly tribe, most people, if you just say swingers, I think that's how they'll understand the vibe of situation, the closest thing that they can understand, most people, poly tribe. How do you make sure everyone is safe? I mean, what if you go to some party and people are having sex, but they're not wearing protection? Like how do you, and is it mandatory? Can you explain a little bit on that situation?
I'm actually so happy that you brought this up because it was something that I wanted to talk about.
Cool.
We get such a bad rep for being like, oh, all the swingers, you guys probably all have chlamydia and this and this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's probably the safest bet to be part of like a swinger or lifestyle or orgy party, whatever you want to call it, than to meet someone online and just hook up with them. There's not enough people that are comfortable to ask their partners, ask someone they're dating, like, hey, when was the last time you're tested? I just want to make sure that we're good to go. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are really uncomfortable with that. But being part of the lifestyle, being in this community, it's something where most of them are married or they are in committed relationships or they just really care about their health. And which is great. And you're sleeping with multiple people. So I think that's so important that if you're going to sleep with these people, you need to be tested regularly. And at all the parties that I do attend, I make sure that they're parties that you get cleared before you even step foot in the door. So nobody that has not taken a full panel STD test is not even allowed in that
So
house.
you have to like, instead of like showing your ID at the door, you got to show your STD test.
Yeah, so we'd like be in like a group chat, like we'll all be in a group chat, like, hey guys, we're gonna have a party this weekend. Make sure that you submit your full panel test before. And
Cool.
so you either have like your test on your phone, a little screenshot, paper, whatever it is, but everyone just make sure that they submit their test results before going in. And that's not to say that when you go into these parties, you're gonna sleep with everybody. And that's
Yeah.
another misconception that a lot of people have that, oh, you go to these orgies, you just fuck 50 guys that night. Like, no, it's not
Yeah.
like maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, so I don't know. I think a lot of people just need to familiarize themselves a little bit more and try to understand, try to learn about it if it is going to be something that they shame. And I think it's important for people to understand because then they might be more accepting of it or they might want to even try it. But I think that now that I'm dating again too and being on Bumble, and one thing that I would ask partners before I go on a date is like, hey, when was the last time you were tested? And I think a lot of people read that wrong, as in, I'm just trying to hook up with that person. But you don't know where it's going to go. Maybe things go really well and you sleep together on the first date. And I don't want to be in a position where your clothes are coming off and we're hot and heavy. And then I'm like, hey, by the way, like, you're the queen,
Yeah,
right?
because any dude with a boner is gonna be like, yes, I
Yes,
fucking
yes,
am.
I was tested.
Yeah, I mean, girls too. They can be horn dogs too. But
Of
wow,
course.
okay, I'm just so happy that you're so comfortable talking about it because I don't think I've ever asked a partner, hey, when was the last time you got an STD or STI? I
Yeah,
guess
a
is what
lot
you're
of people
supposed to be.
don't. If you were to do, yeah, if you were to ask people, do a survey, I guarantee 1 out of 10 people have asked a partner, like, hey, when was the last time you were tested?
Yeah, we should definitely put more emphasis on sexual health rather than all these other things we talk about. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean it's definitely something that not just in the poly tribe, but if you're having sex, you need to be getting tested, right?
Yes. Stay safe, friends.
For sure. I want to keep talking about swinger parties, but I also want to showcase your OnlyFans and why you got into that, what you're doing exactly, specifically because I don't know, just drawn to your Instagram recently. Actually, this past year, I've really kept eyes on you. You just look like you've been thriving with your OnlyFans. There's a huge movement right now, right? Men, women, and a lot of fighters that are, utilizing OnlyFans. But some people are killing it, and I feel like you are one of those people that have, monetized it, in a whole nother way. So tell us how you got into it and why initially.
So, OnlyFans was something that I had nothing, like I had no knowledge of whatsoever. I knew that it was this site that was known for porn, but that there were actually like athletes that were doing, whether it be like a jujitsu technique or there were singers doing behind the scenes before they make their music videos. That's pretty much all I knew about the site. And at the time, this was last year, right before COVID hit, I was working 3 jobs. I was crying because I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent that month. And then there was news that we were going to go into quarantine soon. And I was like, if we go into quarantine, I am so fucked. And I remember calling Cleveland Clinic. If you guys aren't familiar with Cleveland Clinic, it's a brain study here in Vegas, but you take like 4 hours in the clinic so they can research your brain, and you get $100.
Yep,
And but
I've
then you
done
get
it.
everything. Yeah, and then you get all your information, which is great if you're a fighter. But for me, I was like, oh, it's $100. I need $100. If we're going into quarantine, I'm going to need this money. And I was just in that desperate a position where I was like really freaking out. And I was like, you know what? Let's do OnlyFans. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't start OnlyFans with the intention of like, yeah, I'm starting OnlyFans. I'm making porn. We're going to make millions. Yes. Like, I just knew it was a paid platform. It was a way that I could make income. Had no idea what I was going to post. For the whole like first 2-3 weeks, the most I showed was like my thong string while I was baking cupcakes.
Okay.
So I was just like, I had no direction whatsoever, but I was like, this is fun. I'm having my fans on here going live. I was doing little shows of me like singing random songs and baking cupcakes and painting my nails, and it was just like a typical live feed. And then once we were like deep into quarantine, I was like, you know what, fuck it, like let's just go all in. And I indeed went all in.
And what exactly is all in for those of us who don't have an imagination?
So I did make some sex tapes, guys. Sorry if that like offends you, or you're super against it, or you're gonna call me a porn star now.
Girl, I don't think anyone listening to this podcast is gonna be
They're
shocked.
Like, yes!
Yeah, they're just like, let me get that link.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, I thought it was fun. Like I'm very open sexually. I love sex. It was never a secret to anybody, but I was like, hey, what if we film this? Like, yeah, this is fun. It was never like a stage thing. It was never like, oh, hey, grab my camera, like, let me give you head. It was like, no, like if we're in the moment, if things are hot, and that's what I had always done, not like always, but if I'm with a partner and I think it's kind of hot, like recording stuff sometimes. So I'd be like, hey, grab the cameras. We can watch this later. And so it started off kind of like that. And then eventually it was just like, oh, wow, like we kind of have a lot of material now. Do we start selling this?
all right. Okay, so my first question is, you probably started off alone, and then gradually brought in partners. So do you just, I've only been on, I've never actually logged on and subscribed, or paid someone's membership. I know you can show a butt cheek, basically what Jessica I says she does. And then I feel like you do full on, full sex with, men and women, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess, how did you start bringing different partners in, and how did you phrase that? Like, hey, would you like to make some money? Or I don't know if you pay them, if do they get a cut? How's that work?
So I was dating my ex at the time. We were together and we were quarantined together. So it was literally all we did was watch Netflix, have sex, and eat pizza.
All right.
So it was like,
sounds like
it
a
was
good
the
life.
It was
yeah.
a great life. Like there was no complaints here. And then I was like, oh well, I love dressing up. I love accessorizing. I love
you
wigs.
do.
Then I kind of got into a little alter ego where I made a VIP page where okay, you can only get my sex tapes if you've been subscribed to me for over a month. That way I can build some trust. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, too, is that I did have some stuff leak on Twitter, on Reddit, and other sites. And so I'm trying to figure out where I want my videos posted and how I want them. And so I am in a position where I want to make sure that these fans that I have are creating a trusting relationship with me where they're not going to be like, sign up, hey, give me a sex tape. Like, no, that's not how this works. Like, you sign up to my OnlyFans, this is going to be like a relationship. You need to build my trust. You need to date me. You need to like get to know me, and then we'll see later down the line. So that's kind of like how I started with that. But I was in a relationship, so we were building content together. We pretty much had threesomes pretty consistently in our relationship as it was, and almost every girl that we had threesomes with were always down to shoot content because they're like, oh, this sex is great, sure, here's a camera. No one ever asked for money or anything, or like I pretty much convinced any girl that we did sleep with to create an OnlyFans, but
All right. And I do see that you're also creating your own kind of campaign, which is called the Beauty. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me right now, but what am I?
Boss
Beauty
Bitch Championship.
Boss Bitch Championship. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't have it in front of
You're
me.
good.
So what is the Boss Bitch Championship?
So I wanted to create something for how we are quoted as sex workers, whether people are having sex or not. Anybody that has an OnlyFans is almost labeled immediately as a sex worker. And I know tons of girls that aren't having sex on OnlyFans. I'm pretty sure all the girls that you've interviewed on here, none of them have actually done a sex clip on OnlyFans. I could be wrong, but
Probably
there's not a
Kendra
lot.
Lust. That's about it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, a lot of us are just immediately labeled as sex workers. And I think it was hurting a lot of the girls emotionally and just not understanding, like, I don't want to be a sex worker, but I'm on OnlyFans. And I'm like, you can be like, if you want to be a sex worker, be a sex worker. Like, nobody's going to shame you other than people that don't know or they're just like not informed of what you're doing. And if those people are surrounding you, like, leave them. You don't need that in your life. You don't need that negativity in your life. And so I wanted to create a brand or a platform or some kind of environment for these women to come together with like-minded women that are in the same industry and just build them up, make them happy, make sure that they have friends in the same community as them, but then they're also still getting that bag. And so I was like, what could I do? And it was something I thought of for a really long time. And me being a wrestler, I was very familiar with the tournament style, 16-man brackets, 4-man brackets, 8-man brackets. And I was like, I want to do something with a bracket. I want to do something that's like a championship. And then I love games. I'm super in touch with my inner child. And I was like, minute to win it games. Let's do minute to win it games, all in our lingerie, all for this championship title. And so I put it together on like 2 weeks' notice. I invited over like 8 OnlyFans girls. I think there's 5 of us total that showed up, and we just played these mini games, and we're all in our lingerie. We're all hyping each other up. We're all just having the best time ever, and it was honestly like the best connection that I've had with women in a long time. And they all just kept thanking me, saying how this was a great opportunity to meet other creators. That way they can either create content with them later down the line, or they can help each other out with shout out for shout outs. But it was just a really good opportunity for these girls to feel better about themselves, to get extra content that's not sex content that they could still post on their page, and then have a good time.
That sounds very, very fun. I love games. I'm definitely in touch with my inner child as well. And it is hard as you get older to make friends, right?
Yes,
You
I'm gonna have
just,
a fighter edition one, so you have to come to Vegas for
okay,
that.
I don't want to take my clothes off, but I'll come.
Yes, it's okay. It's gonna be fighter edition, so we're all gonna be in like sports bras and like whatever you fight in.
Sounds good. Perfect. Okay. That is so cool. I like your entrepreneurial mindset with your OnlyFans. And you're right. A lot of people just get, chunked into that, oh, she's a sex worker. And since you did bring up the fact that you're now labeled a sex worker, but you are back in contract with a high level promotion like Bellator, do you ever worry about them saying something about that? And I only bring this up because I just remembered when you said none of our other guests have probably had full sex. Actually, a male guest, Tyler Goodjohn, a bare knuckle boxer, I'm not sure if he's still signed with them, he had full sex. He was doing porn on his OnlyFans, and that caused friction between bare knuckle and him, and there was other friction that went on, I believe, but that's neither here nor there. So are you worried and concerned with backlash from Bellator, or even backlash with, I don't know, just people in the industry at all?
I am. It is something that I've really thought about, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do about that. So far, I haven't had anybody approach me about it. I've talked to my manager about it, and he loves that I'm a sex worker. He loves that I'm super open about it. He like I don't want to be in a position that I go back into fighting and I quit OnlyFans just for people to say, "Oh, see, she was just desperate for money, and that's why she was in OnlyFans." now that she's fighting again, she doesn't want to do OnlyFans. And that's not what I want people to think. I don't want people to think OnlyFans is an easy way out or it's a quick buck. And then once you're doing something else, you don't need it anymore. It is something that I'm passionate about. It is something that I love doing. It's not anything that I'm doing against my will. It's not something that I think is a quick buck. It is very challenging. It's still a business. But if it does interfere with fighting, fighting is gonna be my first love always. I will take fighting over anything any day. And
Yeah.
so if that means just not making sex tapes anymore, sure, that's fine.
Because you
When
can
the
always go back to
opportunity
it,
or when
right?
that what was that?
You can always
Yeah, of
go back
course.
to it. I mean, you and I know we got this short window, you know, but I mean, really, as long it's funny because our window for fighting is based on kind of like how well we stay, how well we treat our body, injuries,
Yep.
whatnot, and then your OnlyFans and any kind of sex work, I think, is also based on how good you look, because you can be older
Hmm.
and still look good. It doesn't matter, but you can't really be older and a fighter because it's just an internal thing. You're beat up after so many years. So I think that's smart of you to always put fighting first because that window is closing all the time for all of us. And then
Yes.
OnlyFans, sex work, whatever it is, as long as you still keep it tight, I think you're good. you know, uh,
Yes.
I want to ask
Oh,
you.
speaking of keeping it tight, something that I wanted to bring up
Oh
because
yeah.
I think that this is a huge issue with, I don't want to say men and categorize men, but mostly men have said this, that, oh, you're such a slut, you must be so loose sleeping with all these men, is something that I am trying to shut the fuck down. Like, there is nothing that a woman does where she's sleeping with 50 different men versus sleeping with one guy 50 times. And I need people to understand that.
Well, I think, a grown ass man who says that is probably just insecure and not comfortable with what, you're doing. Maybe he's even a little jealous. But anyone who's smart knows that the vagina is resilient and
Yes.
stretches back. And like you said, it doesn't matter if you're having sex with this many people or this many people. Yeah, pussies are great. so,
Yes.
but yeah, it's good that you said that. Yeah. So, and that's just something that's, I think men specifically, are always going to use as ammunition against women because of their free spirit or, doing whatever is
Hmm.
not socially the norm sexually. And basically, fuck that. I think you and me and a lot of women who are, people who are more, for the progressive movement of sexuality, I think we don't really give two fucks about what they say, but hopefully that will fade out, you know, the
Yes.
loose vagina phrase. But I want to know, so I guess I could subscribe to your OnlyFans, but could you tell me, a little bit about what you are into? I know who you're into, it's a broad spectrum, but physically, what are you into? What are some things that you like in the bedroom specifically?
Things I like in the bedroom, huh? I don't have like any specific kinks. I feel like a lot of my friends in the lifestyle are either like really into like BDSM. They call
Mm-hmm.
them like rope bunnies, so they're either like submissive. But I'm like I'm not really into that. And there's even a test that I did, and I was actually gonna send it to you so you could like just so you can get some knowledge of it and like see
Oh,
other things that people like kinks that people are into. And
please
when I did
send
the
it.
test, I know I will right after this, and maybe yeah, try it out. Like take the test yourself.
Okay.
And, but I took the test and I was like, I don't know, I'm not like really into anything super kinky, I guess. I mean, I like group sex. I That's something that I love. I love threesomes. But I think that I really like away from kink, something that I like is just like playing with temperatures. I like playing with like wax or
Oh.
ice or like when you blow on me, like oh my gosh, if you're having sex and you have an orgasm and they blow on your back, like on your lower back after you just came,
Hmm.
oh my god.
Good.
Guys, take note.
I'm writing. No, I'm writing this down right now. I'm like, you mentioned being submissive or dominant. That's a question I always ask because men or women, most people on here are very alpha, right? We're fighters, jujitsu people. Even metal guitarists, metal bassist was on here last week. Like, are you submissive in the bedroom, even though in your normal lifestyle, you're kind of a dominant woman?
That's what I always thought was really interesting about me, that I was really trying to figure out, because before I would always tell people I'm submissive with men, but I like a submissive woman for me. And I'm like, I don't know. But then now that I've gotten older and I've slept with more women, more men, I'm like, that's not so much the case anymore. I think it's more so the energy that they give to me. So I like to either balance it, or sometimes like I'll play and I'll like fight back with it, but there's not like a specific position that I like to be in. Like if you're forcing me to be submissive, I'm 100% not going to be submissive.
Yeah, that's our natural fighter in us. Like, what,
Yeah,
motherfucker?
I'm like, motherfucker, what? You want me to do what?
Yeah. Okay. Well, what about any like pet peeves? It's always interesting because what someone likes may not be what another person likes, and what someone doesn't like may be exactly what the other person does like. So, are there any bedroom pet peeves that you have?
Pet peeves. I'm like, do I have pet peeves? I really don't have any like crazy pet peeves. I like dirty talk, and it kind of like, if I'm dirty talking and they're not talking back, I'm pretty much over it. I'm like, don't let me like be in the moment and like dirty talk to you and then you give me nothing in return.
You're like, look, bitch, this
Like,
is not
try, say something.
this is not a monologue, all right? This is a two-person scene, or for you, like three-person scene, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I like when people are a little verbal. So, like, oh my God, it feels so good. Like, that's all you have to say, really.
Yeah.
Like, just open your mouth a little bit.
I think we're all on the same page. Nobody wants a dead fish, and nobody wants someone to be like a mute. So, for sure.
Yeah.
We're
Oh my God, my one thing that like I will never forget is that I went down on this girl and she called me mommy.
Whoa.
And that was like an immediate, like, okay, I gotta go.
You know what's weird though? How come it's weird for a girl to call you mommy, but it's sexy when a girl calls a guy daddy?
I think like if she called me daddy, I'd probably be okay with it, honestly. The fact that she called me mommy, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this right
This
now.
is sex, not supposed to be therapy. I gotta go. Okay, well, I feel like we're getting towards the lightning sex round. You're familiar with the show, so I don't have to explain it to you. But for everyone at home, lightning sex round is where I ask either a one-word or one-phrase question, and you have to answer rapid fire, yes or no. Ready to go? Okay.
Ready.
Lightning sex round with Kyra. All right. Do you dirty talk in bed? Just talked about that.
Yes, love it.
Spank or like to be spanked?
I like spanking. I don't like a stinging spank, though.
Yeah, don't make me don't leave a handprint.
Yeah.
Biting?
Yes.
Choking?
Yes.
Threesomes? Oh, hell yeah, for you.
Yes.
Do you watch porn?
Yes.
What kind of porn do you watch? I guess you could watch any kind of porn, but do you have a specific...
I honestly love subscribing to girls' OnlyFans. Like, it's fun. Like, I'm supporting other women, and I'll go subscribe to your OnlyFans. Yeah.
That's sweet and pervy of you. Good for you. Are you into bondage, like ropes, blindfolds?
Not really. Occasionally. Not like I did a shibari seminar, which was really cool. So that's the rope play. So learning how to tie people.
Oh.
But not something I'm really into, but occasionally.
Very cool. Okay. I definitely need to find someone to come on and talk more about that. Rope.
Yes,
what was it called?
I have a guy, shibari.
Shibari. Okay. Well, note to self. What about role playing?
Not really. I think I'm too goofy to role play.
Yeah. All right. Butt stuff on you or a partner?
Yes.
Do you use sex toys?
Yes. Too many. Someone sponsor me.
Ever been to a sex club?
Yes. Many.
And I know you've been to swinger parties. And then are you a lingerie lover?
That's a funny thing. Like, I like playing dress up, but I feel kind of uncomfortable in lingerie. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I like being naked.
Yeah, I like the sexy feeling of lingerie, but it's very hard for me to get that because I feel like, you feel me on this. I'm either cutting weight and like none of my clothes fit because I'm not used to being this like in shape and skinny, or I'm a thick, voluptuous woman and I've got like the lace or the cutting into my thigh, and I'm like, this is not sexy. I don't feel sexy.
Right? And then I think it's always like that weird moment because I'm not in a relationship. And so if I'm like dating a guy, I'm like, when is it appropriate to me be like, I'm just gonna wear lingerie under my clothes and then come over and take it off and then I'm like sexy, but then you're just gonna take it off in 2 seconds anyways.
Yeah, if you do it too soon, I feel like they're like, "Whoa, this girl's fucking freaky," you know. But
Yeah.
there's probably never a good time, never a bad time to surprise your partner with lingerie, though. It's probably okay.
Right. We need guys on your show to like explain when to approach the whole lingerie situation and how to do that.
This is totally random, but speaking of letting someone know or telling someone, when do you tell someone that you're pansexual or polyamorous? I mean, I feel like the poly thing is big, right? Pansexual,
Yeah.
obviously you're into them, so it's not that big of a deal. But like polyamory, you probably need to let them know up front, like, hey, like the lifestyle that I choose is non-monogamy. So when do you do that?
I have that in my dating profile. So it's
Ah.
definitely something that I'm like, hey, this is what you're dealing with when you match with me. This is something that I am. Like, I'm not changing it. This is who I am. And it's the same thing where if I'm with a guy that I didn't meet or girl, whoever, if I meet someone either online or in person and we start talking where I feel like if we go on a date, maybe something will happen. It's around the same time that I'll ask them like, hey, when was the last time you got fully tested? Like, hey, I'm pansexual and I'm also polyamorous. So it's around like the same conversation, I think.
That's an exciting bag of information.
Yeah. I thought they're like, oh man, what am I getting myself into?
Okay, cool. Well, the next segment is Fuck, Marry, Kill. I know you're familiar with the game, but for those of you who are not, I'm going to give her 3 names. She's got to choose which one she wants to fuck, which one she wants to marry, and which one she wants to kill. You ready?
Oh, yeah, this is the one I'm nervous for.
No, don't be nervous. I know we know a lot of the same people and in the industry and yada yada, but I thought, you know what, let's keep it lighthearted. Let's go Logan Paul, CM Punk, and I really hope you've seen this movie, but Kevin James from Here Comes the Boom.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Logan Paul has to die.
Logan Paul must die.
Yes.
Okay, I think a lot of us can agree with you on that. Step.
Yes. Now, what am I dealing with? Let's see.
So now you're left with either marrying.
I would fuck CM Punk.
Fuck CM Punk.
And then marry the Here Comes the Boom guy.
Kevin James. Yeah, because he's hilarious and he'll make you laugh all the time.
He's hilarious. He's super fun.
And you probably don't want to bang him because he's not, he's not Mr. January. Okay, cool. So now some fan questions. These are all real questions from people that wrote in on the Instagram. Okay, at Kimberbill, how important are your fans and supporters to your drive to win and your motivation to train?
So I love leading by example. I love the energy that all my fans give me. It really feels like it's all of our win when I win. So I definitely try to make that a community. And that's why I do post so much on Instagram. And I try to get everyone involved doing. I'm not a fighter where it's like, no, I'm going to stay quiet. And then just when fight comes, here I am. Like, no, all my struggles are put online. My breakup I put online. Any hardships that I'm dealing with. A lot of people saw that I just adopted this dog, this stray dog that I had, broke my phone, my laptop, eye infection, like anything little that I feel like somebody could either connect with or be like, oh man, this happened to me too. I'm not alone. Or just send me over good energy. I'm all about it. So it is really important for me to have that fan base and build that community.
So I'm so happy that you do that. So many people, you and I know, they just put on the good times, the good posts, right? Like, oh, this happened to me, this, filter this. We're just filtering our lives and we're only showcasing the best parts. But one thing that I told myself when I started this podcast was that obviously I'm going to be 100% open with the listeners, because I'm wanting the guests, you to be so open. So how could I not be so open? And part of that openness openness is talking about the bad times. I've talked about struggles in my own personal relationship, body dysmorphia that I struggle with, as far as, my injuries, all the things that are not, you don't want to talk about it because it's not nice. I think, just like you're saying, it is so important to talk about, because you never know who's going to resonate with that, right? And that brings them
Right.
hope. And so good on you for doing that. It's so important.
Oh, good. Yes.
And then next we got Nick.Corey. Shout out to Air Media. He does our graphics. What are the 3 most attractive female fighters in no particular order? Ooh, this is a good one.
Tracy Cortez, I love you.
Damn, you had that one
Number one.
ready to
I don't
go.
even have to think about that.
Tracy's a little cutie, yeah. Episode 4 or 5.
The best. Oh my goodness. Like, Tracy, are you gay?
Actually,
Come on.
she's on the show. She said she was open, so maybe slide into those DMs. I actually was watching a show last night, and Eva Longoria came up, and I was like, that looks like Tracy Cortez. You think,
oh man. Yeah.
She's
so
so
hot.
pretty. I was like, God damn. Okay, so Tracy Cortez is number 1.
Yes. Rachel Ostovich. I think that's like no surprise to anybody. Like, come on, look at them. They're amazing.
My girl, yeah, she's beautiful.
Yes. And then my third, who else? I mean, those are like my top 2. Trying to think now. I don't really watch like women's MMA, honestly.
Okay, well, those are the top 2. That's good. All right, and then what about at Heather Weber Joker? What advice would you give your younger self?
To not give a shit what other people are saying about you. I feel like I battled so long with just trying to figure out, like, what if this person thinks this of me? And what if my mom is going to be upset with me if I do this? And what if this person doesn't talk to me if I post this? And I always cared so much about what other people were going to say about me. And I feel like that's what took me so long to really come out and figure out who I was sexually, who I was with my identity, everything. Just because I struggled for such a long time trying to please everybody else, and knowing that I was always in the public eye with fighting since I was 13 years old. So I was doing interviews since I was 13. And so I was constantly like, man, no, I'm like this cute little girl next door. I was the cheerleader. I don't cuss. Like, I'm all about my family. And that was the image that I was trying to carry with me for such a long time, that when I did do something quote unquote bad, or when I was sleeping with someone, like, I was like, oh shoot, like, I hope nobody finds this out. I can't post anything about this. Can't post drinking. Can't post like any type of cleavage or anything sexy. And it was really just something that I think I created in my own head. I don't think that anyone actually cared. Like, I know there's a few people that they're still to this day like, oh my God, I can't believe you have OnlyFans. I can't believe you're doing this. But I feel so much better now that I've just fully embraced who I am and stopped living for other people.
I think it shows a little bit that you were suppressing your sexuality and just who you really wanted to be, and living this PG lifestyle. And then, I feel like you kind of just had, the last couple of years, a sexual explosion. And not only do you get to be who you want sexually, but just, do whatever the fuck you want. And,
Yes.
I mean, rebel girl, like, that's literally what I'm all about. So congrats. Just be you, girl.
Yes, thank you.
We got at J Baril _240. Favorite position?
Ooh, I like to call it Z-guard.
You would. For us non-jiu-jitsu
So
people.
when I'm on my back and I like have my leg like up, if you're a jiu-jitsu guy or MMA person, like, this position, the Z-guard.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not. Okay, Z-guard. Okay.
So like the man would be on his knees, and then the woman would be on their back, and then you'd have like I'll say my right leg out, because that's the side I always pass to.
So he's like, is he like straddling one leg?
Yeah, so he's like straddling one leg, and then your other like top leg is kind of off to the side.
I got it.
Kind of like you're doing like a lower back stretch.
Got it. Okay, definitely. I know what you're talking about. Okay.
If someone has a name for this position, I just always a Z guard.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm a fan of this position. Yes. Okay. All right. At House of Joshua, what is considered too big?
If you subscribe to my OnlyFans, you can see the sizes of my dildos.
Ooh, good answer. Link in the show notes, guys. At,
Yes.
at Asan_gorilla, what turns you on? Good question.
Passionate people. Somebody that talks about what they're doing in their life and they are so fucking passionate about it. Like, that is the biggest turn on for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always say drive and like work ethic, like
Yes.
later in life, it wasn't always that, obviously. I dated a lot of fucking losers, but, later in life, I realized that that's the thing that matters the most. Not exactly where someone's at this moment, but where they're trying to go and where they hope to go in their dreams. I'm like, okay, blows me out of the water. And then seeing them work towards that, I'm like, woo, lady boner.
Right? Because if they're working hard for that, they better work hard in the bedroom too.
That too. And I do feel like those go hand in hand. Some lazy motherfuckers in life, most likely they're going to be lazy in bed, right?
Go after what you want.
Okay. At Oso Alcado, what's your favorite submission?
Arm bars. Arm bars all day.
All right. At I am Phil Jr., what's the most he phrased it kind of weird. What's the most number of people you have had sex with at one time?
Oof. I'm like, let me think back to my last swinger party, lifestyle party, orgy party, whatever you want to call it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Maybe 6 and a half.
All right. All right. It's a busy night, girl. It's a busy night.
It was a fun night.
Fun night. And okay, so this guy's got, it's a 2-part question. The second part, it's a good question. Money is exactly the same, but you can only do one. OnlyFans or fighting? I guess you already said this. Fighting, right?
Yes. Fighting, 100%.
Okay, fighting. And then my last question for the show is always, who do you want to hear on here next? It could be a fighter. Doesn't have to be a fighter. It could be anyone.
Who do I want to hear? Let me think. Who do I follow? I'm like, let me look at my Instagram real quick.
I mean, we've already had Rachel on. We've already had Tracy.
I know, you already had her on.
What about some guys that are like,
let's see.
in the spank bank?
Who would be fun? Okay. I think my friend Christopher Mark would be great. He's part of I guess you would say my poly tribe, and he's like total ethical playboy is how he just like calls himself.
Okay, what's his Instagram handle?
His name is Freak Hustler on Instagram.
Okay, at Freak
He's
Hustler.
like, yeah, you'll love him.
Okay, and then where can we find you on all the social media handles? I'll also include all your links in the show notes as well as your OnlyFans.
Yeah, so Instagram, Twitter, Facebook's all the same. It's just my name, Kyra Batara. And then I also have onlyfans.com/Kyra Batara, which is just my MMA page. So that's where you can see me cutting weight. You can see my body transformation during the camp, all the behind the scenes, all my workouts, everything. If you're a fight fan and you don't want to see me naked, you don't want to, like, you just want to support me, shoot me over $5, help me pay for my gas for the week. That's where you can go do that. It's really fun on there. I do a lot of vlogging, but then I also have my Fed After Midnight page. So onlyfans.com/Fed After Midnight is where all the naughty stuff goes down.
Oh, that's such a cute little play on words since you are Mogwai. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll put all of that in the show notes if anyone wants to get in contact with or connect with you on the social medias. I've had such a great time interviewing you. I want to continue talking. I have so many more questions, but maybe we'll save that for after your next Bellator win on June 25th.
Yay. Yeah, I had so much fun.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Kyra.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
That is it for episode 54. I cannot thank Kyra so enough for being on the show and being so open. It takes balls or ovaries, whatever you want to say, to come on here and just tell it like it is. Everyone is always trying to put their best foot forward or, filter their life per se on Instagram and whatever we put out there. So thank you to her. Thank you to all our other guests. Thank you to you guys for tuning in week after week, for all your fan questions and for supporting the show. I think Kyra is on a mission to prove that you can be sexual as well as strong and you don't have to pick. So one thing is true that I've learned is a determined woman is something that cannot be beat. And when you embrace your sexuality and monetize it, that's even better. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Shout out to Tomorrow Kids Studio at Tomorrow Kids Official, DJ Zol at DJ Zol, and huge shout out, like I said, to you guys for always supporting us. We are still continuing to work on our video, our YouTube. We're fine-tuning some things. If you guys want to email us, again, it's ashley@sexandviolencepodcast.com. Rate and review us on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever else you listen so that we can move up in the rankings and bring you guys more shows. And as always, be kind, be grateful, but don't take shit from anyone. Subscribe to this podcast and tune in next week to hear more tales of sex and violence.